Hello, folks. Can you hear me?
Can. Hello, good to have you. Who's that?
Hi, Nathan. My name's Richard. How are you doing?
Very well. Nice to have you, Richard.
Thank you. Yeah, I just thought I'd join in. I have a few questions about a flat Earth.
Okay, I'm probably not the best person to answer you, but go ahead.
Okay. I'm a glober. I'll come out with it from the very start. The whole flat Earth. So, am I right in saying that we are being denied the truth by the world governments and space agencies all around the world?
If that's your conclusion, then that's reasonable enough, I suppose.
Right. So, why are these people hiding the flat Earth from us?
I don't know. We haven't got crystal balls on this show. So to divine the thoughts of others would be insanity.
It's meant not entirely, though, Nathan.
Oh, maybe not. Arwin's got... I lied. Arwin has a crystal ball. Go ahead, Arwin.
No, not about that one. No, but it is method-based. You know, it is a strategy.
Does that answer your question,
Right.
Richard?
Not really, because as far as I'm thinking, that even if they announce tomorrow, or even right now, that it is a flat Earth, then Boris Johnson's still going to be PM of Britain, Angela Merkel's still going to be running Germany, Trump's still going to be running America. Nothing will really change. So why are they hiding it?
Nothing political will change, you mean? Right. The motivation, beyond our understanding, comprehension, it's pointless to divine other people's thoughts. The consequences for everyone else, I couldn't care less about. The consequences for you are personal to you. But that's not what we're here for. So we're here to expose the lie, as opposed to divine the motivation of the liar.
But why? But why? Why would they? Now, is the evidence the criteria, or the why the criteria here? I'm going to go by evidence, not the why.
No, for me it is the why.
The strange one here is that you've started out with a lie that is, as Tenth just said to you, is let's go with the evidence. The word you used was space. So I would suggest to you that the space race is fake. It's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. I'd go with that evidence, not the very dubious evidence that they give you to support their argument that they had a space race.
Right. So what about Lockheed Blackbird pilots? You know, the SR-71 guys who said they flew that high they could see the curvature of the Earth. Were they lying as well?
No, they've misunderstood what curvature actually is. So if you're a fundamentalist, globe-worshipping zealot, you think that the edge of a sphere is the arbitrary position where the sky meets the ground.
Well, not. I wouldn't put it that way.
I would.
As
I
such,
would.
the sky doesn't physically touch the ground, it's just the perception.
No, it's not on your model. It's a physical edge of a sphere. What do you think they were looking at when they said that
The
they
edge
could
of the sphere.
Right.
As far as their vision could see them, because they were 80,000 foot up.
Looking at the edge of the sphere, something physical then. So regardless of you now confusing
No, they were looking at the edge of the ball that they could see.
Richard, I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Richard, I appreciate that my responses to your claim that someone went up to 80,000 feet and saw the curve of the Earth are quite painful cognitively. To hear me point out that you are confusing two different things. One would be a physical edge they're claiming to be seeing, because that's what your model requires. The other would be the arbitrary position where the sky appears to meet the ground. They're not the same thing, but your model requires you have a physical edge. You have an edge for boats to go over, to see from 80,000 feet, to obscure buildings in the distance. It's physical. Now that's not what the horizon is. We haven't even got to the space race, a complete lie in and of itself that proves unequivocally these people are working together, because they're both lying with the same lie about a place that cannot exist. Second law of thermodynamics violation, sky vacuum. So given that we can't have a sky vacuum, and they're both saying they're going to a sky vacuum, I'm going to assert that they're both in on the same lie, because that's a fact. They are lying about the same thing.
I I'm not sure where you're getting this idea that our model requires a physical edge to the sphere, because it's a sphere. It doesn't have a physical edge. The only bit you can describe as a physical edge is the bit you can see. It's like holding a ball in front of your face. You can see the edge of it, but it's not the actual edge. If you turn the ball, the edge moves.
Sorry, you can see the edge of it. So I don't need any help, guys. You can see the edge of it when you hold a ball up. So there's a part that you cannot see past, the physical edge. A physical thing stopping you seeing what's beyond that physical edge. As you just declared, it has an edge that you can see.
Yes, it has an edge you can see.
So it has an edge.
You turn that ball,
so it has an edge then. So you are mistaken when you incorrectly identify an arbitrary position, a not actual location, where the sky appears to meet the ground, with a physical edge of a ball that you hold up. The ball has a physical edge. We have a horizon. So they're not the same thing, but your, as you correctly identified, model has a physical edge, claimed to be viewed by these pilots, SR-72. They're saying they can see the physical edge bending? No, mate, that'd be the horizon, a not actual location where the sky appears to meet the ground. It's just forced upon us by way of what a model must do. You must have an edge in the physicality that we observe because your model has an edge. However, they're not the same thing. You're just confused. Also, you've bought a lie about a place that can't exist. If the sky was a vacuum, the place these space agencies are going for their space race between each other, on the same field, you might say, well, the place they're claiming to go doesn't exist because of a law of nature. The second law of thermodynamics would dictate that there'd be an entropy increase. The gas we're breathing would fill that volume. We can't have gas pressure unless we're contained. And your religion, your model, has a sky vacuum. When you juxtapose that model and reify it into reality, I look up and apparently that's a vacuum. No, mate, we wouldn't have any gas to breathe. So the agencies you're appealing to, apparently in a race, are in cahoots, lying about the same thing, a fake place that can't exist. Space! Not a vacuum, mate. We'd all be dead.
Okay, so yeah, perhaps I agree then. Every single space agency is lying about it. The whole point of my question originally is why? That's what I can't get around.
And
that is
I
the only thing
answered
that is
you.
holding me back.
Oh, mate. So you appreciate that all the space agencies are lying to us then, first and foremost, as you
It
just... It wouldn't surprise you. It wouldn't surprise you. Based on natural law, the sky cannot be a vacuum, and they both claim it is, whilst being in apparent race with each other, to get to a place that doesn't exist, that they both claim to have got to. Now, why is not something I can divine. I don't have a crystal ball, but they're definitely lying about fake space now, aren't they, Sunshine?
Well, if they are, they're doing it for what?
Super chat.
Sorry, I don't need any help. If they are, no, they are. They are because it violates natural law. Unless you've got a rebuttal to that, it's not an if anymore. They are definitely lying about their race to a fake place. Outer space is not real. The sky is not a vacuum. The gas we're breathing would fill the space. But yet they both claim to have got there. Not if anymore. Definitely both lying about the same fake place. Why is not within my capabilities. I don't have a crystal ball. That's for you to ponder on and worry about. Why have they lied to you about going to a fake place? Now that might disturb you and it might leave you with this really damning question, but I don't have the answer about why they, not me, lied to you about a fake place called outer space. Do you understand?
Yes, yeah, completely. I was made the assumption that you flat earthers would have a good reason as to why they are lying to us.
For the third time, I haven't got a crystal ball. I can expose the lie they've told you that you seem to now appreciate, that they're lying about a fake place that doesn't exist, that they're in a race to get to. Now, why they've done that, go and ask them. Or like I deal with liars. Detach yourself from the liars, rather than appealing to the liar for an explanation about the lie. Because do you know what they'll give you? More lies. Me, I'm giving you the truth. Space is fake. They weren't in a race to get there. And why they lied, I don't care about. You do, I don't. So let's stop asking for a fourth or a fifth time why they lied. Let's just ponder on the fact that space is not real.
Okay, Nathan, no problem. I was hoping to get an answer to that question. I guess you were right when I first came here. I wasn't the right place to go. I've also been to the Flat Earth Society website, and they couldn't help me either. So I'll take your advice and go back to the space agencies and see what they say.
Good idea.
Can I ask you a question? Because I find it fascinating. I mean, you're obviously, you're taking time to look into this. I find it fascinating that you're clinging on, for want of a better phrase. Your dissonance is using this as your reason for it not to be true. You're clearly an intelligent man. You're not having the world pulled over your eyes with what you're being given from the space agencies. But the reason that you're not maybe moving your position a little bit more appears to be this matter, that you can't be given a validation for why the people are lying to you, therefore probably not lying. Is that where you're still at? If I was to be able to give you
I'd say that's a good explanation, yeah. I mean, I was going to compare it earlier, but again, I kept cutting people off accidentally, so I apologise for that again. But, the main thing that annoyed me with government's line was all about tobacco products. They used to say it's good for kids to sit in the living room with the parents while they're smoking, getting more and more people addicted to smoking, when we all know what smoking does to you. But the reason they did that was because the absolute bags and bags of cash they made off of taxes from both people buying them and the tobacco companies. I can understand there why a government would lie at that, because of money. I can't understand why they're lying about this.
If what you need to justify things being, to justify the obviousness of the lie is a just so story, that's really where you need to, for me, have a little look at what's justifying your beliefs anymore. Not trying to have another just so story so that you can move past the lies. You don't need another just so story. No, just know being lied to. That's sufficient. And then at that point, stop using these people to try and define your reality anymore. Because as Nathan said, all you're going to get from them is more lies.
Yeah, he's conceded that they're lying, but said, why would they lie? And Adam said, well, is that your justification for them not lying because you can't figure out why they'd lie? And his answer was yes. So that's his cognitive battle, but he's not denying what we've put forth.
I've got a picture on the screen, and I actually shared it in the Discord. It actually, if you look at the picture of the SR-71, if you look at the windows that the pilots are looking out of, the windows are curved slightly, or I'm not sure how much, but you can actually see that in the image. And the other aspect of that as well is, if you look at their suits, the pressurized suits, they also have a domed looking, or it's concave? I can't ever, convex or whatever shape to them as well. So you're looking, the pilot's looking through a convex lens of their helmet, and then they're looking through a convex image of the window. So the pilot may have saw the curvature, but it was actually probably his distortion of his helmet.
Not so fast. Yes, all that is true. Yes, their perception would be to see curvature of what now?
The horizon.
Oh, a not actual location where the sky appears to meet the ground is being curved by their helmets and by the lens in front of them by way of the cockpit. Well, that's fascinating. It doesn't change the fact that it's a not actual location, and not the physical reified edge of a beach ball held by Neil deGrasse Tyson when he asserts that stuff is flat when you're not very high above it, when you make the horizon a physical edge of a beach ball, which it's not.
Can I just interject there, Nathan?
Of course you can.
Funny enough, I was about to say something similar. When I actually heard that Blackbird pilot quote that he could see the curvature of the Earth, it was just a passing comment as he was retelling another story. When you think about it, that Blackbird pilot was 80,000 foot up doing probably Mach 5, although it was only ever confirmed to do Mach 3, which is, pretty fast. And he's wearing a full-on spacesuit with, as whoever just pointed out, a curved helmet. That could have caused it.
Cause what now? Hold on. Let's just see how we can get it. Cause what?
Cause him to see what he thought was a curve. Like I said, it was just a passing comment he mentioned when he was telling another story.
I agree. That's why I'm saying he's not lying. But what's curving now? What's he seeing curve?
What he would assume would be the horizon.
No, it is the horizon.
Yeah, the edge of his vision.
But no, the edge of what you thought, may have you changed your opinion, we'll see, you thought was the physical edge of a sphere model.
I'm not sure how happy I'm about that phrase, physical edge of a sphere, because a square has a physical edge, but it's a two-dimensional object. A three-dimensional object, like a sphere, just keeps on going round.
I understand that. If I hold up a beach ball, can you see what is beyond the top edge of it?
No, until
it's got an edge then. So it's got an edge. And what's stopping me from seeing what's on the other side of it? Is it the physical edge that's stopping me from seeing the other side of it?
It's not a physical edge, though, is it? That edge
so it's
moves
transparent.
Every time you move that ball.
It's imaginary. Transparent, imaginary edge that's stopping me seeing over it. What do the boats go over on a sphere? Do they go over a not edge for us to see the bottoms of them being disappeared by a claim to be model that ignores all aspects of perspective? Is that not an edge that they're going over?
That's a good point there, actually, yes. So I'm stood here on the beach and I watch the boat disappear over the horizon. I can't see that boat anymore, but yet the guys on the boat, they see a different horizon because they're on a different part of the ball. So the physical edge you're talking about depends on who's looking at the ball and from what angle. So if I held that ball up, but I stood right in front of you, we'd both see...
Excuse me, I'm trying to get you to concede physical edge, and you're saying the physical edge changes depending on if you move. It doesn't change the fact that they're both looking at a physical edge, according to you, obscuring a boat now. So it is an edge, it can obscure a boat, and it changes with your position. So, yeah, it's still a physical edge obscuring stuff, though. From one position with one set of eyeballs, it's just a physical edge with your boat claim to go over it. So why do you keep telling me it's not a physical edge and you don't like the phraseology, when that's precisely what it's claimed to be? It's just not the horizon. The horizon isn't a physical location, even though we're now having boats apparently go over it, even though it's a not actual place. This is the problem that you're now arguing about. You've got a problem. One is a not actual location, the other is a sphere edge that would need boats to be physically obstructed when they go over the edge of it, from your viewpoint.
Right, I'm not quite following you fully there, because you're talking about a physical edge from your perspective, but if I was to stand in front of you with that ball, but then turn slightly to your side, we would both see a different physical edge of that ball.
Yeah, I can't be in two places at once, though, so I'm not comparing and contrasting with two different images. I'm just saying that if I watch a boat, according to you, go over the edge, it's gone over a physical edge. Not what is comparing to your different position with a different example. That's called a red herring fallacy. Just try and address what I'm saying. According to you and your religious reification of a sphere model into the not actual location where the sky appears to meet the ground, is a physical edge, from my viewpoint, for boats to go over and be obscured by. That's not an incorrect phraseology, and I don't like your claim that it's not a reasonable one. It is.
Okay, I'll just agree to disagree with that one on you then.
Why would you disagree? What's wrong with my claim that you fundies, not me, say boats go over the edge when they start appearing to disappear from bottom up? They claim to be going over an edge, and you don't like that.
No, they are going over the horizon, but it's not a physical edge. You're sort of putting a limitation on something that continually goes around and around and around.
Sorry, what's it being obscured by now?
I suppose the best way of describing it would be the horizon, which I define as where my physical view ends.
Well, where your physical view ends is based on your perspective, not based on a sphere edge that you've reified into that position where your vision ends. It's claimed to be the edge of a sphere if you're a heliocentrist. Look, I'm going to draw an end to this by telling you it's got physical geometry, Like if I hold a beach ball in your example, I can't see past a part of the beach ball because the beach ball's physically in the way. Now, you might not like the terminology edge, but that edge is precisely what is claimed if it is a ball and I do have a boat slightly beyond where I can see. There's a physical edge of the sphere claimed to be blocking the boat in my actuality when I see a boat go away from me in the distance. So it's a physical obstruction, an edge. You don't have to like it. That's the geometry of a sphere. I've got to get one concession from you before I can get on in debunking what is your religion. But you're saying, oh, well, I don't know enough about my religion here. I'm sure I haven't got a physical edge. Even though earlier on you gave me an example of holding up a ball and how the ball can obscure things with its very much physicality. So now suddenly you've got a bit hazy. I just need to get your cognition back wired correctly for the example you gave me when you held up a ball in metaphor. Do you forget that example you gave me?
No, I remember that example perfectly because my whole point is a sphere does not have a actual edge where it ends. That's what I'm arguing about.
I understand that. And I've clarified it with disclaimers about from my position, looking over the edge of something apparently, according to you in my actual worldview, not when holding up a ball, the boat goes over when it reaches the horizon, a field of view. So, in reality, if it's claimed that the boat is going over the horizon and the horizon's the edge of a sphere, then it's being claimed to be physically obscured by the edge of the sphere. This isn't complicated.
No, I agree, and the more you explain it, the more it is beginning to make sense to me.
Excellent. So we've got a claim, God, I've got to explain your own religion to you to fight with it, that the edge of the sphere obscures boats as they go over it. Finally. Great, we can move on. So, I'll now give you a little example. With a brick, an 8-inch brick. If you put an 8-inch brick in front of you, at about, 10 metres, can you see it?
With my eyesight, probably not.
What about if it's 3 feet in front of you? 3 feet?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. An 8-inch brick at 10 metres, I would hope I could see it.
Okay. What about if you put the brick at a mile?
Definitely not.
So, it's disappeared from view at a mile. Would you concede that, so we don't have some nonsense about your quality of vision, that 3 other people with average vision stood next to you would also agree that while standing, let's say, on a giant runway, that if you put a brick at a mile on that very flat, very long runway with a clear view of it, you won't see it because it's too small?
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair assessment, yeah.
So let's now put that brick at 2 miles. Is it more or less clear, or is it still vanished completely?
Yeah, without any kind of optical enhancement, like a rifle scope, for example, you're not going to see that, or a pair of binoculars.
Perfect. So let's get a rifle scope then. Given that it's now disappeared, with a rifle scope, I'm going to put the same exact 8-inch brick at 5 miles. Can you see an 8-inch brick with a rifle scope at 8 miles? Or 5 miles, whatever.
Definitely. No. The longest sniper shot in the world's only been 2.5 miles. You wouldn't physically be able to get the optics on something that far away. So
you can't see an 8-inch brick through a piece of optical equipment designed to see a long way at 8 miles, say?
Yep. All right. Well,
so the brick
rifle scope was perhaps not the greatest example. If we've got, I don't know, maybe some kind of powerful telescope at 8 miles, possibly.
Okay. So shall we agree at 10 miles that with a telescope you can't see the brick? How far do I need to go for the brick to disappear in the telescope? You tell me.
Yeah, let's agree at 10 miles then. Where's this taking us to?
Well, we'll get there once we get the concession. So we've got a telescope, we're looking at a brick, it's 8 inches, it's disappeared at 10 miles, but if you put it at 5 miles, you can see it with the telescope. Agreed?
Go on then, yeah.
So the brick's gone at 10 miles, you can't see it?
Yep.
What about if I now pile on 25,000 bricks on top of that brick and build a skyscraper, can you see the skyscraper at 8 miles? With your telescope?
With the telescope?
Yeah. Can you see a skyscraper?
Probably.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you see the skyscraper I've put on top of the brick that disappeared at 8 miles?
Probably, yes.
So we can't see the bottom brick. It's too small to see. But the pile of bricks on top of it we can see. Correct?
Yeah.
So we're losing... Don't talk over me, my friend. So we've lost the bottom of this building to the tune of 1 brick at 8 miles. It's disappeared from the bottom up because the brick at the bottom is too small to see. Not Earth curve, angular limitation. Do you understand?
Yes, yeah, I never mentioned
So given that we've got a boat doing the same thing, very far in the distance, and the bottom of the boat is a bit like the bottom of this brick at the bottom of a skyscraper, the bottom angle's very small and very far away and disappears first. Ergo, the boat isn't going over an Earth curve, it's merely too small of an angle because it's very far away and has disappeared from the bottom up.
Well, yes, of course things disappear from the bottom up. It would be a giant... well, yeah, if things disappear from the top down, that would be absolutely impossible, according to any model.
No, I haven't mentioned a model. What are you talking about? I'm just describing optics.
Yeah, I didn't mention any Earth curve, but you start talking about that.
Oh, really? So when the boat went over the curve of the Earth that we had to argue for 10 minutes about whether or not it was going over an edge, it wasn't going over a curve when it was disappearing from bottom up then. It wasn't going over an edge then when we argued about the edge that the boat's apparently going over when it's claimed to be Earth curve that causes this. That wasn't the boat going over the edge. It's obviously the perspective causing the bottom to disappear then. Not the edge that we argued about for 10 minutes when you reify an Earth curve edge into a point where things get too small to see. We call that point the horizon. It's where the sky appears to meet the ground and you think is an edge of a sphere for boats to physically go over and be obstructed by, even though things can very much disappear from bottom up due to angular limitation on the flat plane we live on.
No, you
Earth
changed
curve.
my words slightly there, Nathan. I said there was a horizon, not an actual physical edge, because there is no edge to a sphere. I never mentioned anything about a curve, but you've latched onto that and then switched back to edge again. But I did say that when the boat disappears over the horizon, it's disappeared out of my view. However, the guys on the boat then have their own horizon because they have a different point of view from me.
So you don't think, a la the heliocentric model of a sphere Earth, that when a boat disappears in the distance, it's going over the edge because it's physically obscured? I.e., if I was holding up a beach ball and I had a little model boat that I pushed over the top of it from my perspective, the beach ball would be in front of the bottom of the boat. So you now don't think that Earth causes that effect? I.e., if I move a boat over the top of a ball that I'm holding, the physical edge of the ball obstructs the boat from view with its physicality. You don't think that's happening when a boat goes into the distance and gets too small to see then? Welcome to Flat Earth. No, you're right. Earth curve doesn't cause boats to be obscured from bottom up. The Earth curve calculator that only asserts that that's caused by Earth curve edge obstruction isn't the cause of that. You'd be right. But that's what your religion dictates if you live on a sphere. The boats go over the edge. The bottoms of buildings are obscured by that very same edge of a sphere, like the one described when you held up a ball and had a boat that was beyond the physicality to block the bottom of it.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I'm sure at some point, the boat will go over the edge of the sphere. But as a human, the actual distance we can see is nowhere near compared to the sheer size of the Earth. I
And
mean,
what about
the big thing everyone goes
what
on
about with a
about is the
rifle?
Earth spinning at
What about with a
1,000 miles an
rifle
hour.
scope? Sorry, mate, you don't seem to understand that that edge has got a geometry, a physicality. It's determined to be in a specific place based on its physicality and geometry. Just like if you were holding up an actual ball. Now, I understand that you've got this vague notion about the horizon it not being an actual place, which we all here appreciate. But your ball religion's got a physical edge that boat must go over. Now, I know that you like my explanation because it makes sense, that it's going into the distance and disappearing from bottom up due to an angular limitation that could only occur on a flat plane. But your ball religion dictates that it must go over an edge. You don't have to like it. And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley. I'll see you all in the next video. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!